Someone asks what you want to do for your birthday, and something happens in that moment that's hard to name. Not quite discomfort, not exactly deflection, more like a door being pushed slightly wider than you expected, and your first instinct, almost before any thought, is to ease it closed again. Nothing, really, just a normal day. You mean it, or you think you mean it. But there's a version of you that has said some variation of that sentence for a long time now. Every year, the same answer, the same quiet dismissal. And if you've never stopped to wonder why, not just where the habit came from, but what it's actually protecting, that might be worth sitting with. Because it turns out the man who doesn't celebrate his birthday is rarely indifferent. He's usually someone who learned very early that having emotional needs was a complication, that wanting things, attention, recognition, the particular feeling of being important to someone, was a burden he wasn't supposed to place on other people. And birthdays, almost by design, force exactly that. They require you to let someone make a fuss over you, to receive something you didn't earn, to be, for a few hours, the specific point of someone else's care. For some men, that's the most uncomfortable room they've ever been asked to walk into. Psychologists who study attachment patterns describe something they call deactivating strategies, ways the nervous system has learned to reduce reliance on other people in order to stay emotionally safe. They look different in different people, but one common version is the preemptive minimization of things that would otherwise create need. If the birthday doesn't matter, no one has to show up for it. And if no one has to show up for it, no one can fail to. That's not cynicism, that's protection. It was probably learned somewhere specific, maybe from a birthday that didn't go the way a younger version of you quietly hoped. Maybe from watching how the men around you handled occasions like this. With stoic indifference, with deflection, with the quiet performance of not needing things. Maybe from the accumulated weight of years of being told that wanting recognition was weakness, that good men didn't ask for that kind of thing. The lesson wasn't always spoken. Sometimes it was just the air, and so the door got trained shut. Not all the way, just enough. Just far enough that light still came through, but no one could fully enter. Pause here for a second. Think about the last birthday you actually had. Not what happened, what you felt the week before. Was there anything underneath the indifference? Some part of you that was tracking whether anyone would remember? Some version of hope, quiet, almost deniable, that existed alongside the public dismissal? Because here's something strange about emotional minimization. It doesn't remove the feeling, it just makes it invisible. The person who says they don't care about their birthday still, somewhere, cares whether they are the kind of person worth celebrating. That question doesn't disappear when you stop marking the day. It just stops having an annual answer, which means it stays open. There's a concept in cognitive psychology sometimes called self-worth contingency, the way our sense of value becomes attached to specific conditions. For some people, it's performance. For others, it's relationships. And for men who learned to suppress the need for recognition, the birthday becomes the one day a year where the question surfaces whether they want it to or not. Am I worth this? Do the people around me think so? And if they don't show up in the right way, or if I've already made sure they don't have to, I never have to find out the answer. The dismissal isn't really about birthdays. It was never about birthdays. It's a question you've been avoiding answering. There's something worth noticing about what happens when someone insists on celebrating you anyway. When someone refuses the deflection, books the dinner, makes the thing happen despite your protests. Most men who say they don't care about birthdays experience something unexpected in those moments. Not annoyance, not relief exactly. Something quieter, something that feels close to being seen, and not knowing what to do with it. Because being seen is what the door was guarding against. Not pain, not failure, not the big fears. Just the exposure of caring whether you matter to someone. That's the thing that feels most dangerous. Wanting it and having it confirmed. Or wanting it and watching it not arrive. The man who says it's just a day has usually decided that not knowing is safer than finding out. And in a way, he's right. It is safer. But safety and aliveness are not the same thing. Here is what I want to leave you with. The quiet dismissal, the don't bother, the really nothing, was never indifference. It was a decision you made about how much space you were allowed to take up, how much emotional weight you were allowed to place on the people around you. How much wanting was acceptable before it became too much. That decision made sense when you made it. It doesn't have to be permanent. The door was never locked. It was just the one you got very good at keeping almost closed. And almost closed was never the same thing as not caring. It was just the most you let yourself want without risking the answer.